Advancements in AI are making headlines almost daily, with much of the recent attention on cloud-based generative AI and large language models. I know I read those headlines with great interest and amazement, as I'm sure most of our audience does as well. However, the intelligence that's now possible at the edge of a network without relying on the cloud for inferencing is equally transformative in my view. Edge AI was once more of a niche topic, but it's driving higher productivity and enabling smarter devices today by deploying AI models directly on embedded systems at the edge. These systems can now perform tasks like detecting people, estimating body positions, or recognizing hand gestures with more ease and accuracy. What's been incredible to watch is how the bar has moved higher and higher with regard to the kind of performance that we can expect from the processors in our embedded systems. As a result, Edge AI is redefining the kind of expectations developers have for the systems they are designing, because they can now deliver more intelligent features with more ease and at cost points that simply weren't achievable a few years ago. STMicroelectronics is one of the companies at the heart of that transformation. And today I'm excited to spend some time discussing that topic with Remi El-Wazan, President of the Microcontrollers, Digital ICs, and RF Products Group. Remi, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Remi, I think maybe the best place to start is to have you describe your role at ST and the mission of the product group that you're leading, if you don't mind.
Sure. ST is composed of two main product groups. One is managed by my colleague Marco. That group really is focused on anything analog, sensor, whether motion or imaging sensors, and power products, which includes actually everything we do on IGBT, silicon carbide, and GaN class products. The other group is my group. We call it MDRF, exactly like you just said. It's actually cover all the microcontroller businesses, be it general purpose micro, automotive micro, secure micro, and also the RF and optical communication group. It's a group that is essentially, like its name indicates, focused on RF class products. We have exposed publicly our collaboration with SpaceX for LEO satellite, but is also actually working on all our connectivity portfolio, and as you may have heard more recently, also is spearheading ST efforts in the context of cloud optical interconnect based on our BiCMOS and silicon photonics platform.
Excellent. I appreciate that overview, Remi. You know, the global specialist team members that I work with here at Future Electronics are experts with your product portfolio. So we're very familiar with them, and we work with customers to help them design these products into their systems. But one of the things we do is we highlight the differentiation that's offered by your solutions for the specific applications that they're addressing, which, as you know, are constantly evolving, by the way. Speaking of evolving use cases, I'd really like to understand what you're seeing in the market. In my introduction, I talked about Edge AI, and I know that's been a key technology focus for you in some of your more recent announcements. For example, over the last year, we've seen ST expand its product portfolio with more advanced neural processing and multimedia capability, for example.
Yeah.
So, Remi, what are some of the mega trends that are shaping your investment decisions as you look toward the future?
We've been pretty clear about that. I think that we look at three mega trends. One is indeed the transformation of compute at the edge with what Edge AI is all about. We look at security as another mega trend because with an explosion of endpoints being deployed, it's actually expand even further exponentially the surface of contact with malware. and security, I think, will take a predominant role on a moving forward basis. And third is, the cloud as in a continuum from edge to cloud, and what cloud will mean in the context of what we do every day. And for us, it's, it has really different meanings between, enabling the next generation EML replacement for pluggable optics in a data centers down to, and we'll talk about that next, down to what we're doing at the very edge of the network with embedding AI acceleration in MCU. So it's a pretty wide spectrum of things, but those are the three things right now that define what we do. Clearly, when I look at the edge AI piece, the what we are spending an increasing amount of time on. We are talking about a secular trend, in the sense that actually there is a change of compute, that has evolved from a scalar to a vector and now to matrix computing. That change of compute is not so much, because it's fancy to work on AI. It's because it allows use cases to perform much better, much more efficiently, with a higher accuracy in delivering a prediction or a projection, and it is essentially creating more value for a product. So we see that trend as essentially a natural evolution of what happened in the cloud, what happened at the edge of the network, and now what is going to happen very naturally in MCUs moving forward. And this trend, not necessarily means de facto hardware acceleration, even though we confirm that there is an increased amount of attach rate of hardware acceleration in the new MCU that we are developing. But it also can, mean simply in a very compact fashion in terms of compute resource, RAM resource, flash resource. It can also mean, being able to accelerate some amount of machine learning on the Cortex M core that we are embedding inside of our MCUs. So it's a pretty wide spectrum of things we can do, but clearly a very fast growth. If I look at last year, looking at our, we are pretty aggressive in deploying toolings. We have actually a Edge AI suite which we have launched. It's available on st.com. It's actually a suite that works on any of our backend, any of our hardware, and we are able to track, adoption of the suite. And particular for MCUs, we have been able to record more than 160,000 projects already at this stage, and it's I believe 250% year-on-year growth in terms of project adoption with that set of tools. It's just an illustration of the fact that it's not a fad. It's actually what people are going to use more and more to make their product and their application better.
Interesting. Yeah, I know you just referenced the Cortex M microcontroller solutions, for example. ST offers a wide array of MCUs that are ideal for mainstream, low power, wireless, high performance. Back in December, of course, you had your STM32 summit, and you highlighted the STM32N6 microcontroller family specifically, which really looks like an incredible addition to your lineup. I'm wondering if you could say more about that and dive a little bit more into the strategy around that piece of your business, and kind of particularly the STM32N6 family and where that's headed.
Yeah, actually, the truth of the matter is when we build the STM32N6 together with the team, we've built a product without really understanding, what would be the adoption. That's the truth of the matter. It was for us, we wanted to go and throw something out there to understand, how people can use 600 GOPS int8 of convolutional neural network capability in an MCU package, in an MCU format. Obviously, we guessed, we estimated that there will be a non-negligible amount of vision workload. So obviously, we embedded an ISP on chip to be able to do on the fly pixel processing, so that actually the neural art engine, that the code name of our hardware accelerator, could be able to process processed data.
Yeah.
But we did not really know how it will get used. And I have to say that actually we've been shocked by the adoption. I think it will be not the fastest, but among the fastest series of STM32 to reach $100 million. So it's growing very fast.
Wow.
The applications we have are diverse, from industrial application to personal electronics application to deployment of the N6 in infrastructure application, and even is even being considered in some automotive application for rear view mirrors application, for example, even though it is clearly not an ASIL D or even an ASIL B, for all I know, class of products. So that was the beginning of the journey, if you allow me. But the way with the team that we are looking at the N6 is actually maybe could be a shock to you, but it's not necessarily through the lens of the hardware, in the sense that we have developed actually what I think is likely the most widely used and the best AI stack that can actually be either hardware accelerated or not, has a lot of function and operators built in that can consume, TF Lite or ONNX class models, and is fairly robust. And the entry point for us is, our stack, because if you when you put any AI accelerated product or not, when you put AI as a function in a development of an application, you start to deal with people that are really focused on the quality of that stack much more sometimes than the hardware it's running on. Okay, so we have a very software centric view of AI by first focusing on that stack, and N6 was just an additional product, that would benefit from that stack. And in the case of N6, the functions are not CPU accelerated; they are, matrix accelerated natively using the neural art accelerator. I think it's important for you to think like this, because the people that are consuming it on the other end are often, people that live in a world of AI, and that that will test the quality of your stack first and foremost. With that said, and by the way, it's public information now. We have made an acquisition just this week, as a matter of fact, of a company in Toronto that will allow us to continue to beef up the functionality of that stack and beef up the quality of our model Zoo, because again, we believe this is where the most of the differentiation will come from. Now, going back to your question, which is, okay, what's next after N6? How do you see that product line? Well, for sure, there will be an evolution of N6. You can bet on it. We are too early to discuss what it is. And for sure, you need to expect a growing adoption of some amount of AI acceleration, not only for CNN, but also, for RNN and for other workload in our MCU product line on a moving forward basis. I won't share all the details, but this year we will sample, most likely this year, a new class of MCU that also come with hardware acceleration, so we are going to continue to do that. What you need to be very truthful to is we're building MCUs. And, we have a very firm opinion of what an MCU is. An MCU is an object that is, within a cost structure, is an object that can only live with so much RAM, is an object that embed a non-volatile memory so that actually you do not need flash storage used externally. It's a self-contained device, and which come with power and cost constraint because it is an MCU, and the keyword being C. It's not an MPU, and we are very careful to also not get excited by technology, but use technology in the confine of what our products needs to be all about, and that's an art that we are guessing. But I will tell you, we are shocked by the adoption. Often, when we are in product definition stage, we don't know how much compute for AI we need to put. Because what we thought was enough 2 years, 3 years down the line happens to be not enough at all. So we are living the exact same movie, I think, that what the guy building application processors 5-10 years ago have gone through, and you've seen that with obviously the best in class being what Apple did with the iPhone, where they have evolved their class A processors with AI acceleration from, I think, 2018 onwards, right? They must be at their 6th generation. And I'm sure that the percentage of AI acceleration of that die has increased from, I don't know, I'm guessing, 5-10% to maybe 25%, because more and more workloads are moving from scalar to matrix. Look, something will happen with MCU, and it will be maybe not as fast, because we are focusing on industrial application. Will not have the same velocity, but the exact same thing will happen. And we in ST, I'll tell you, with in all humility, we want to be careful. I'm safeguarding myself. The comparison I'm going to do is really done in all humility, but we really would like to become, with the combination of our stack and of hardware acceleration, we'd like to become for the MCU industry what NVIDIA is for cloud infrastructure, that the gold standard that everybody wants to use, because look, it's the best software stack. They get the best acceleration with the best operators, and it will deliver actually the best performance. This is really what we want to be, and that's the reason why you see us invest so much. I mean, compared to others, we are really over-investing on that field. This is something that we will. It's a market segment we will not lose. Now, if it doesn't pan out, if everything I'm saying does not happen, if AI at the edge is not becoming a reality, if the thousands of use cases that I'm seeing right now end up being actually just a fad, well, we will have wasted our time. That I can tell you, because we are spending a lot of time. But if I'm right, if we are right, I think that actually it will pay off. I hope.
Yeah, interesting. But it's fascinating to watch the STM32N6 rollout, and we've seen that, like I said, firsthand with the customers we're working with, and and thank you for stepping into some of the use cases that you addressed. Just you have such a broad portfolio that you can really address quite a wide range. You spoke about the Edge AI suite and your software and Model Zoo, right? And those are pretty incredible part of the support that you offer customers. I wonder if you have anything more to add to that in terms of the ecosystem of support tools that you offer customers. Products obviously is one part of it. You need a good product lineup. You need a good roadmap. If you don't have the ecosystem of support around it, that's a big gap, right? Can you say a little bit more about what ST offers there from the full perspective of support tools that you're offering customers?
Yeah, no, for sure. We have a pretty large suite of tooling, CubeMX for configuring your MCU, Cube Programmer, which actually carry the name that it carries. We have a pretty large suite of embedded software that start, from board support package enablement to application level use cases. We have actually extension package that we sometimes source by ourselves, sometimes are being sourced by external partners. We try at the end of the day to make the life of our developer easy. But actually, I'll tell you the way that the team think about that. I think the team think at it through the lens of time, and the team believe that the stuff that you cannot recover is the time the developer takes to develop an application. And as such, everything is geared toward that. We have, for example, we have our own IDE, but we have also recognized that actually Visual Studio was a strong value prop, for our developers to go faster in the projects. And that's the reason why, today I think it's already released. We have Visual Studio Code extension for STM32Cube that we've released. And by the way, I do believe it's the largest Visual Code Studio download on the Microsoft website as we speak, because of the momentum. It was not done. You could have said, well, why don't you go and stick to your own IDE? Why did you move away from your own IDE? Well, no, this is not the way we think. The way we think is we'll use what's best to allow developers to go the fastest. That's it. Period. End of the story. There is no religion on the problem, and we'll keep doing this. And we'll keep looking at it and keep this enablement. We are looking at different value proposition along the same way. There is going to be, you will see a lot of change in the different tools that we're going to release over the course of the next 12 months as we're doing a big refresh. It's something that we also track both from utilization. We have a good ability to track unique active users. Just to go and get you calibrated, we were at less than 1,800,000 unique active users in 22. We finished 2024 at 1.3 million. So we've added actually more than 50% over those 2 years. Clearly it's a lagging indicator, because when someone starts a project, and we are in the same business, so how it works. When someone starts a project, that project is 12 to 24 months from going to production, and then actually the peak to volume, because of the industrial application that dimension what we do, the peak to volume is 5 years away from that production start, right? So from the statistics I'm giving you, you need to click 7 years to get to the peak of the volume. And so that's why I'm saying we like to track unique active users, because it's a lagging indicator that gives us, the momentum we have on a moving forward basis, and we track that very seriously. But that's not the only thing we track. We track our customer satisfaction on our support channel.
Sure.
Are they happy with the quality of the response, the rapidity of the response, the exhaustiveness of the response, the accuracy of the response? And we are pretty harsh with ourselves. We also track with the user groups that we refresh every month and every quarter, rather, to go and track the quality of every release we're doing for the Cube. The release embedding, new tools and new functionality in embedded software. Believe me, our developers are tough, sometimes they are really not happy with the onboarding. Sometimes they are really not happy with the logging mechanism. Sometimes they are really not happy with documentation. But that's the only way for us to progress and make sure that we're taking care of them. So in the industry, there is a lot of lingo around, we need to have a developer mindset. Look, we in NST, we walk the talk of this. I really want you to trust me. We walk the talk of this. I personally have reviews on that topic 4 hours every quarter because it's super important to me, because this is what dimension at the end of the day, the utilization of that portfolio. And we are investing a lot of people in those activities for that reason. So thank you for opening up that chapter, because for me it's the combination of healthy community, strong and vibrant community that reinforce itself, multiply by a very large portfolio. I think that by now, Q1 2025, we are more than 5,000 part members. Okay. Combined with the ability for us to manufacture those products by ourselves using state-of-the-art non-volatile memory technology, and you will be happy to hear that, combined with a strong distribution network. Yeah. Those are the 4 pillars of the chair to make you successful. Now, like anything, in strategy, often it's very easy to explain your strategy. It's difficult to do, right? But actually, I will tell you, I repeat, this is a 4 pillar. very large portfolio, best possible software ecosystem, strong manufacturing for resiliency against any geopolitical event, and a very strong distribution networks that demultiply your reach on the market. If you align those four properly, you win.
I appreciate that, Remi. Before we close, we've been speaking a lot about embedded products and tools in this conversation, right? And of course, ST offers a wide variety of product families that developers need for their systems outside of those products as well. Products like, families like power management, security, right? And others come to mind. And I'm wondering if you can maybe just say a few brief words about the scope of ST's overall portfolio beyond embedded products.
No, it's a great point. I'll tell you in all humility, I will tell you that we are not yet the best at attacking the bill of material. Okay, I think that actually we have grown up in ST in a more of a silo approach on the different product lines we've got, and we are actually too early for me to share too many details, but we are really trying to work towards more of a system level engineering approach, allowing us actually to at least reduce the friction for a developer developing an application to understand, well, if you're using this, then you'll be using that, and you could be using this, okay? You have my word, we're going to work on this. It is not going to be instantaneous, but you have my word that we're going to work on this. And it's very important because of the following, which is actually kind of an amazing statement when I think of it. Not that I'm amazing, but that the statement is, because the statement comes from who we are as a company. We are the only company that essentially can go from a MOSFET to an 18 nano microcontrollers, all of that build in the company. And in between of that, you will have MEMS products, imaging products, power analog, signal chain analog, microcontrollers, secure and non-secure. And we have, a breadth of portfolio that is that is unique. But I will tell you, if I have to grade myself from 1 to 10 on, hey, are you able to exploit that portfolio in action when you're on a bill of material? I would put myself a 2 or a 3, which you could say that could be harsh. But actually, I don't look at it like this. I'm saying, oh, wow, there is a lot of room for upside here. So I know, Richard, you're driving this video. It will be shown to application engineers and to people in your company. But I care about us being credible and being able to measure ourselves on really what we're doing. So I acknowledge this is a big area of improvements where we could do much better. Yep. But I'm also counting on you guys to go and, help us bridge a gap. And I know you do. I really know you do, actually, trying to bridge a gap. But I think we in ST, we need to also help ourselves. And I'm quite sure we will.
Absolutely. Well, Remi, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me today to share your insights. It's been incredible just to have you describe product families, where you're headed. Really appreciate your insights. I wanted to also thank our viewers for watching. If you're interested in a new project, maybe using ST for a new project, taking a look at products like the STM32N6 microcontroller or one of the other many product families from ST, Future electronics engineers are here to help. We can guide you from part selection all the way through production. So please feel free to reach out to us at shapingthefuture@futureelectronics.com. It's here shown on the screen in all one word, shapingthefuture@futureelectronics.com. Thanks for joining us today on the Current Executive Insights, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.